Good afternoon, Chairman Lusk, Chairman McKay, and members of the board. Thank you. I'm joined by Major Scott Colwell, who's the commander of our traffic division. Both presentations both fall under his purview and my purview. So we're excited to give you a report on the photo speed enforcement pilot, our first year really of a successful operation of our photo speed program in some of our school zones. Just want to provide a quick overview. The pilot began on February 10th of 2023. As you remember, we had 10 locations selected, and that pilot, we did warnings for 30 days and then moved into the citation phase, and overall was a big success. We learned some good lessons, which we'll talk about early on in the program, which have allowed us to get the program to where it's at today, which I think is at a point where we would say it's ready for possible expansion. We'll talk about that expansion today, which would be the addition of 50 photo speed cameras in school zones across the county, and then kind of forecast out into fiscal year 2027, where we originally projected adding an additional 30 cameras. And I did want to report out the only change to the original 10 locations was the addition of the Oakton High School camera on Blake Lane, which we were able to get up in May. So first, to talk about some of those early challenges that I know your office has heard about and we heard about, and luckily a 10-camera pilot allowed us to find some of those pain points early on without impacting many people too severely. First, we had some challenges with VDOT. It came in the form of things like flash filters and permitting for the cameras, and but we have all of those issues now resolved and a good process built out with VDOT for adding additional cameras. The Wink-O-Matic lights with FCPS, when we went into summer school, the schedule, which FCPS maintains the Wink-O-Matic light schedule. Obviously, those lights coming on, signaling a school zone is in effect is absolutely key to enforcing the school zone speed limit, and we were able to identify through our community members' complaints that they came through a school zone and the lights weren't flashing. But that allowed us to work with FCPS. They tightened up their procedures and were able to kind of lock down who has access to that and the timing. And we had no subsequent issues after we kind of worked through that summer school timing changes. And then the last and probably the largest issue that we dealt with was the Code of Virginia requirements that a summons be issued within 30 days for us to kind of proceed down the path. And what we quickly realized was we were mailing out violation notices, and by the time the processes occurred and they arrived, folks who went through these speed cameras would have just a day or two to pay their tickets sometimes, which of course is not reasonable, was not the intention. So we sat down with the clerk of the courts and really were able to work through a process which now provides 3 months and then sometimes longer to make those payments. Essentially, we're sending the summons out from the very beginning. And this is consistent with other jurisdictions in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and it has added a nice layer of relief to everyone to get these tickets in a timely manner, and I think you'll see that when we talk about program metrics. So those are some of the early challenges. Of course, when it comes to staffing, we've maintained these 10 cameras without any additional personnel. We did ask for a management analyst and a kind of program supervisor, a police supervisor, as we move into the expansion, because one of the challenges that we also have as it pertains to staffing is only sworn law enforcement officers can certify every violation, and every violation has to be certified. So we've been doing that with officers who are in light duty status or officers in an overtime status, so we just don't have any police officers assigned to this duty yet. As we look at expanding and adding the school bus stop arm program, which will be coming online soon, we know that that's going to change. But We look forward to working with the county to identify the best solutions for that, and we believe that we have the staffing in place right now to move into the next phase. So effectiveness, the good part is, are we getting out of this program what we expected to get out of this program? And I'm glad to say yes. I remember when we first looked at the first column there in the middle, the pre-installation data. So we went down during school zones. We measured people's speed during that 30-minute school zone window. And in that far left column, you could see the average speed in the school zones was, in many cases, 8 miles an hour over the school zone speed limit. As soon as we installed cameras and allowed them the warning period to lapse, and we did that first pilot check-in, we nearly every case got a significant reduction in speed. And in fact, the only one that increased, that Terracet Elementary, says it went up by 3%. Well, it went from 24.4 miles an hour to the average speed of 25.7 miles an hour, which is still an acceptable speed. It is the speed limit. So when we went back and did a follow-up survey of all those locations in February of 24, as you can see in the far right column, we continue to see continued improvements and the maintenance of those low average speeds, with the exception, of course, of Terracet. That's when it moved from 24.4 to 25.7. So the program is effective. It's doing what we believe, which is just reminding the community that there's a school zone. There's some extra signs that talk about speed cameras, and it just reminds us all to go the speed limit, which is our number one goal. So that is what we have on effectiveness. And then a couple other data points on the program. From March 10th of 23 to April 12th, 20,312 citations were approved and sent out. So a number of those were rejected for a variety of issues where we didn't certify them, but 20,000 violations were sent out. This also includes the warning phase when they had no monetary fines attached. 71% of all those violations were for speeding 10 to 14 miles an hour over the speed limit. And you can see there only 7% of the violations represent a 20 mile an hour or faster, which is good that that's a low number for such a significant violation. Another show of program efficacy is that 78% of all citations issued have been paid. So there's an accountability component that is relatively high when we look at other kind of regional and national trends where our community is accepting of the program and paying their fines. We find that about 75% of the fines were paid through the vendors' portals. They have a pay on the web portal, a pay by telephone, or you can mail in a money order or check. So 75% of the citations paid that way, and 25% are sent to the courts for docketing. And then the court fines come back through the normal court program, and we currently don't have a way to measure how many are, if you want to say, found guilty and how many fines are paid. It's a little bit of a challenge with the Supreme Court of Virginia and how the fines are reported to the county, but we remain in discussions with them and understand that our current process continues. So as we look at phase one of expansion, what we're proposing today is that we move forward with phase one expansion. I know that you all received a list of the 50 schools that were proposed, and I wanted to clarify how we came up with that. Major Colwell actually reached out to Office of Safety and Security with FCPS and asked for 50 schools based on complaints, anecdotal information, just based on the school's needs. And every one of the schools on that list was picked by FCPS. Now, on our end, what we've done is look at the roadway design, again, anecdotal speed. Is the school in the middle of a residential neighborhood that has a 25 mile an hour speed limit already versus a 35 or in some cases even a 45 mile an hour speed limit? And those are the schools that we typically pick. We also wanted to equally distribute the cameras across all the magisterial districts with the goal of spreading the signage and spreading the program throughout the county, hoping to get more voluntary compliance because people see them as they travel from point A to point B. So this list that we provided to you is you know, as draft as it could possibly be. I know that many of you receive requests and complaints from your constituents, and we would be happy to make adjustments to this list. We would be happy to conduct some speed surveys. You know, when we went into this, you know, how should we pick them? It's a little difficult to go out and do comprehensive speed surveys for every school in the county and make decisions based on that. So really we started with what do the schools need and what roadways tend to lend more to us needing to slow some folks down. So any feedback you have on those, we would certainly welcome that. And if we move into the phase 1 expansion, the final point on that is we believe it will take approximately, we can install about 10 cameras per month, the vendor can. So if we moved forward in August, we believe we could get 50 cameras online by the end of the year. That would be our goal in doing that. Future expansion, of course, I know you've heard about the school bus stop arm program. We've been working a lot with the schools as they kind of finalize, and they're very close to being ready to go live with their program. They've been challenged as well with some of the reporting back and forth from the courts, and they continue to work through some of that stuff, but we've been there with them the whole way. We will have the same legal process of reporting and or verifying violations, and are prepared to start that pilot with them when they get to that point of being ready. And then the last thing would be thinking about the next 30 cameras as we go into the next year for the next phase. That's a quick overview of what I believe has been a successful program up to this point, and we'd love to take questions and feedback from you.